Understand this, nobody makes you feel anything. Nobody makes you feel angry. Nobody makes you feel tense. Nobody makes you feel upset. You always decide how you're going to feel, and then if you're not careful, you will fall into a negative habit pattern of blaming the other person.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
How you doing, man? I had to leave out of my house, man, because I don't know whether that water's coming over that levee or what.
The storm missed us.
I can't hear you.
The storm went east.
So you haven't heard about that water coming over that levee from the lake?
No. Check it out.
Because the water started rising so high on my two-story apartment, I had to get out, man.
Where's that at?
Right across the North Robinson overpass.
Okay.
Around Fluid on the Weezer Street.
Of what's going to happen next. So I can't say it, but I'm telling you, I know what's going to happen next. How much metal you have in your body will affect you when this thing happens. It has to do with frequency.
I've been with Big Pharma. The first time they offered me $100 million. Second time they offered me $1 billion, and they just reached back and said, you take 1.5. I said, no, I won't take 10 trillion billion. I'm curing cancer.
Did y'all see what happened to Japan? All right, y'all, stick with me. And this proves that, you know, we have some new water coming in, y'all, because
the eye spacing is non-human. And when you look at this, if it's non-human eye spacing, you clearly can see nasal moving.
There's his face
yeah,
right in there.
I mean, it's clearly the blinking eyes, the wet eyes,
it's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
As in the cult, abusers will dress up as Jesus before the abuse so that they literally have it in their mind that Jesus is the problem.
Demon is a demon. Mon means moon, and moon means emotion. D means negative. So a demon is a negative emotion that takes over your mind, your body, and your spirit.
Don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going.
You know that eugenics is the reason you have to take the SAT? SAT isn't about measuring intelligence, it's actually about filtering people out based off of immigration status and race.
If the Earth is a globe, then why do weather radars scan in flat 2D circles? Not domes, not spheres, flat, like a pancake, not just in one country. Every single Doppler radar system on Earth scans on a flat plane, and they'll tell you that's just how it works.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's a list of names from the Epstein flight logs.
All right, these are the people that were on Epstein Island, confirmed by multiple sources. Bill Clinton, George Mitchell, Alex Baldwin, Ralph Fiennes, George Hamilton, Dustin Hoffman, Kevin Spacey, Liz Hurley, Laura Hutton.
Craziest thing about Epstein that I learned recently is that, did you know that Bill Gates' science advisor is the backup executor to Epstein's will?
Doesn't shock me.
That's
Didn't know that, but it doesn't shock me.
Jr. He was declared the front runner for the New York Senate seat back in 1999. Days later, his plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, and his rival, Hillary Clinton, was elected senator. Mary Mahoney was a Clinton White House intern. She knew enough of the inner workings of Bill's sexual advancements to be a star witness during the Clinton impeachment trials. She was brutally executed at a Starbucks she was managing in 1997. In 1993, White House counsel Vince Foster was found dead in Fort Marcy Park near D.C. He supposedly killed himself, and among a lengthy list of potential foul play, the bullet was never found. Then there's James McDougal, a key witness for White House prosecutors. He was serving his 3-year sentence for bank fraud at the Fort Worth Federal Medical Center in Texas. And just before he was to give a testimony before the grand jury, McDougal suffered a heart attack in solitary confinement. In 2015, Walter Scheib, a White House chef hired under Bill Clinton, joined the list. His body was found at the bottom of a river, nearly 2 miles from the base of the trail he was reportedly hiking. An autopsy determined that Scheib's death was accidental drowning, but he might have known too much. 27-year-old Democratic National Committee staffer Seth Rich was shot and killed in D.C. this year. There is speculation that he was the source of the controversial leaked emails allegedly sent by DNC staffers, and that he may have been murdered in retaliation. Then Sean Lucas, the lead attorney in a fraud case against the DNC, was found lying on the bathroom floor by his girlfriend when she returned home on August 2nd. His death was reported classified, pending the results of an autopsy.
And are maybe thinking, why isn't he releasing these? Why is he denying these? Does he have something to hide? I'm gonna throw a couple things out there. The first thing I recommend is watching Katie Johnson's affidavit. Here's a quick audio preview.
Donald Trump knew that I was 13 because the first night that I was there, Tiffany actually suggested that she had a whole bunch of different wigs, and I expressed interest in them. I always told her that I would love to walk around with blue hair, and so I tried some on, and there was a blonde wig that she said that looked great on me. So I wore that wig, and Donald Trump had specifically asked about me because I remind him of his daughter, and she said, well, she's 13 as well. So he knew the first time that he saw me.
And if you think that thing with his daughter's a little weird, he also said this.
She does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
And this.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
And this.
Daughter is beautiful. Ivanka, she...
By the way, your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of...
Yeah.
And this. And this. And this about the girls in the pageant he ran.
I mean, some of these foreign girls, Mr. Trump, in my country, we say hello with now. And
well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is
doctor.
good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away.
And I think we all probably remember this famous one.
I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the... I can do anything.
So yeah, those are just for your information to come to whatever conclusion you may want to come to.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you heard earlier that there's no real concern about aluminum because it's such a small amount, and so it really shouldn't matter. But the kind of aluminum that we put into vaccines is a different kind of aluminum that we see environmentally. This is called a nanoparticle, and nanoparticles bind really tightly to the bacteria antigens, the virus antigens, the food protein antigens, and any other contaminants that are in the vaccines that we may not know about. And we know that the biochemical properties of nanoparticles is that they are capable of entering the brain. And so we have not evaluated the safety of the aluminum nanoparticle and its injection and where it goes when it gets into the body and whether it gets into the brain. Do vaccine ingredients belong in the brain? No. Do they get into the brain? No one has ever studied it. But animal studies using the same chemicals that are in vaccines that we give to children directly demonstrate that the vaccine ingredients do enter the brain. We are ignoring this information. There are scientists in Europe who've actually done studies on the aluminum nanoparticle and have shown that it can persist in the brain for years and decades. And so what we're seeing is a large outbreak of neurodevelopmental disabilities in adults, including Alzheimer's. And one of the main factors that they're finding in the brains of people with Alzheimer's is the aluminum nanoparticle that's directly related to the vaccines that we're giving. So we have never studied whether the aluminum that we're giving in vaccines gets into the brain, and we've never measured whether it stays in the brain and what it does if it does stay in the brain. But we do know that vaccines are supposed to cause inflammation in the body. But we have more than half of our children with chronic inflamed conditions, and we've never allowed ourselves to ask the question, if the vaccines cause inflammation acutely, do they continue to create inflammation chronically? We have 1 in 5 with neurodevelopmental disabilities, 1 in 10 with ADD and ADHD, 1 in 35 with autism, 1 in 11 with asthma, and 1 in 20 under the age of 5 with seizures. And the autoimmune diseases are exponentially rising, And we are finding that the viruses and the bacteria that we're injecting into the body, along with the adjuvants, create something called molecular mimicry, which means the body sees those viruses thinking that it's foreign, but actually finds pieces of those viruses that match pieces of the self. And the immune system doesn't differentiate between what it's been told to reject and itself. So it will turn the immune system on itself, leading to an autoimmune condition.
That's the bottom line. I've been doing this now probably close to 8-9 years now. Just so you know, for the first 7 years, I did it free. That's how come I spent $54 million doing this. I'm the #1 guy in the world for brain cancer. There's no hospital, there's nobody in the world that helps more people with brain cancer than I do. I can back that up. Just go to the hospital and tell them my name and they'll tell you, that fucking prick. We can put people in full remission. As long as they take the pills, they live a perfectly normal life. And I've already done dog trials, guys, for cancer.
A little bit about the study that just came out of Sweden that is just so alarming.
The news is buzzing out of Lund University, Malmö, Sweden. Marcus Alden is the first author. The first demonstration in a human hepatic or liver cell line that the Pfizer vaccine, in fact, reverse transcribes and installs DNA into the human genome.
Wow. And so in simple terms, what does that mean, Dr. Bartlett?
Thank you for making it simple. So basically, there's an enzyme that can take that messenger RNA vaccine information and put it into the DNA of the person, into their DNA. And we were told that could not happen. So this is in a lab, but it's showing that you remember the vaccine is messenger RNA.
Yeah.
And we were told that that messenger RNA could not go into your DNA, but this is showing that in a lab it can.
And so what happens when it does, Dr. Gold?
Well, can I answer slightly different than your question?
Yeah.
So one of the fun things about the last couple of years being a doctor and lawyer is this is a very interesting opportunity, and I think we're going to be bringing another lawsuit because there's actually federal law that you cannot discriminate against people for genetic discriminations. I forgot the acronym. I think it's GINA, G-I-N-A. GINA, right? So this now opens the door to saying that if you're not allowing somebody in who chose not to get the shot, that you're actually engaging in genetic discrimination. So I think there's this Sweden study, I think, opens the door to a new type of lawsuit.
If you're pregnant and you have this done, can that then affect your baby?
Yes, this is an alarming finding. The CDC says on its website very explicitly, this will not change your DNA. The paper that came out of Sweden. Now, there'll be many more to confirm it, and the steps are to confirm it, to confirm that the entire code is installed, and then to actually confirm that it's expressed, meaning that the spike protein now is continuously expressed from human cells. But because the lipid nanoparticles are taken up everywhere, that means somatic cells in your organs, but also your gametocytes, actually the cells that actually are the sperm and the egg. If they are carrying it, that indeed means that, in fact, it could be passed to the daughter cells. And
so that could be open up for birth defects. And yes.
Every thought you think creates an emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. And when you repeat the same negative thoughts over and over again, you give shape to that energy and you give birth to something. That something is your demon. Demons aren't external forces. They are negative aspects of your own psyche, little voices you've created in your subconscious that now control you. They started as thoughts, then became emotions, then became patterns, and now they live in you. Every addiction, every self-sabotage loop is a demon you've given life to. You fed it with your energy, and now it feeds on you. But here's the truth. If you created it, you can reprogram it.
Good morning. Attorney Sean Gellis here again, between meetings. Figured I'd fire off a quick video about privacy. Did you guys know that all of your electronics, by design, have a back door that allows the government to spy on you? Yep. There's this law called the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act, CALEA, C-A-L-E-A, that mandates this technology be built into all the devices. Essentially, it means that if the government orders a wiretap and a product is sold in America, the company that sells that product has to build into the code a way for the government to spy on you and spy on your communications. A lot of people don't know this. It's been there for a long time. It was passed in the 90s. So even though you may think all your stuff is encrypted and secret and all that, and companies may advertise it's encrypted and secret and everything like that, it probably is. But just realize under CALEA, every developer, every tech company, everyone who sells devices that have like internet connection or telecommunications capabilities, they build into it a way for the government to secretly spy on you.
So I'm asking you for your identification.
I'm not going to identify unless you can reasonably articulate a crime that I have committed.
Well, I'm investigating a crime.
What is my name going to tell you about your investigation?
Well, it's going to find out if you have any warrants or not.
It violates my Fourth Amendment.
It's not violating.
Yes, it is. Is this a traffic stop?
Not right now, does it?
Okay. You approached me without any lawful reason. Am I being detained?
Right now, yes, you are.
For the crime of?
I told you, I'm investigating for smoking marijuana.
I don't answer questions without my lawyer present.
ID
I'll answer questions. So I'm being detained right now, right?
So we got a call.
Yes or no? It's not, oh, we got to call this, oh, this, that, and the third.
Yeah, you're being detained.
And where's your reasonable articulable suspicion?
Got a zip on it? So
Anybody.
You
You know, your max time to detain me without reasonable articulable suspicion is 15 minutes. Every minute after that, my time is worth $10,000 a minute that I'm held here illegally. Because you're violating my Fourth Amendment right now.
He looks human.
It does, but the spacing between the eyes are not human. And if you saw that in real life, you'd realize the head is, 15 inches across. This is Jake. So a Sasquatch I had incredible live interactions with. He was actually a friend of mine. I considered him a good teacher of mine. There you can see him blinking. And he's gone now. I haven't seen him in many years, which has been very upsetting to me.
You think he died?
No, I think he was a dominant young male and he's gone off. There he is. This is another video of Jake. He's just gone off to somewhere far away.
This is incredible video, Todd. This is absolutely stunning.
And don't take my word for it. Come out with me. I show people that.
Thank you very much. I'm Madeline Wolford.
The whole idea of crisis actors is an accusation we've seen pop up time and time again.
Well, I am an actor, actually.
I am not fed any lines.
Actually, that was a bad choice.
It's okay, you're fine.
Actually, that was a bad choice because the janitor... Sorry.
It's okay. You're fine, David. You're fine.
Because they told us that they were going to have, like, fake, and have people being taken away and, like, have them scream or whatever. So I was like... It must
like
be
in a
fake.
school drill? Like,
Yeah,
is that
like a drill? And so I just figured it was that, but it was like so real.
I think that really speaks to, the training that we had.
And I understand you want to be a journalist. Is that right?
Yeah, and we just had the active shooting training at our school.
I witnessed this event. Why are you guys doing this to me?
Where he would get such a ridiculous idea.
These people saying this is absolutely disturbing, and I'm not an actor in any sense, way, shape, or form. I was a witness to this. I'm not a crisis actor. And because of that, we still thought it was a drill until we started seeing the headlines. And after that, we knew this was not a drill. It was anything but disgusting individuals that have lost faith in America.
There are some people, these trolls that are making up these stories that do not want to hear what these students have to say.
To be clear, David Hogg and Emma Gonzalez are not actors.
These two people right here, Marina Abramovich and Michelle Lemmy, are the high priestesses, the dark witches of the elite. Stay with me. They're both considered artists in their own right. Marina Abramovich is known for her spirit cooking, which I'll show in a sec. And this is Rick Owens' wife, Michelle Lemmy, who has pioneered fashion in a very, very dark way. Let's look at Marina first and her spirit cooking. This is what she considers her spirit cooking. I'm going to leave it up here for a sec so you guys can kind of get the image, but creepy stuff like this. And I covered it up. It's directly behind me, but this is a body, and it's very, very gory, so I needed to cover it. That's Marina Abramovich right above me. That is Lady Gaga right there, and they are taking spoons and eating out of the corpse. She's very, very, very connected. This is Jacob Rothschild, for those of you that don't know. The Rothschild family, the famous banking family. I'm not going to get too deep into that. But she does a lot of weird stuff. She's heavily connected, and her art suggests a darker, deeper agenda. And I kind of want to cover this too. Now for old girl right here, Michelle Lemmy. This is the head of Rick Owens, her husband. And this is her. She's big in fashion, and she's very, very connected through the elite. Thing is, with her clothing pieces and stuff, they very much resemble dark underworld themes, and it kind of ties into just her nature, honestly. Here she is posted up with Rick Owens, her husband, and the Migos, and she's doing a sign. Trying to give you guys a closer look here, but she has 2 fingers pointing up and 2 fingers pointing down simultaneously, which is very common in this symbol or depiction of a goat-headed figure that I don't know if I should mention either. It's really crazy when you go down the rabbit hole and see just how connected these 2 people are in the elite area. They're so connected in Hollywood and throughout media, and it's honestly insane. Big names like Lady Gaga, like I showed, Jacob Rothschild, again, Beyonce, Rihanna, Jay-Z, you name it, the list goes on and on. Everybody flocks to them because of what they do for them. They're pushing an agenda that we continue to see and gets pushed in our face in Hollywood, and it's dark, it's satanic. There's something sinister going on, and these 2 people are figureheads or masterminds or vessels for these dark principalities to come out and act on the physical. So it's important that these names don't remain hidden for much longer.
The survivor, she was elementary school age, had been trafficked by a satanic cult. She did end up becoming pregnant when I believe she was 12 years old. She gave birth to that baby. They immediately took that baby away. They forced her to come and be a part of a ritual where they sacrificed that baby. And, it goes all the way up to the top. Human trafficking is the 2nd largest industry in the world. This hits every area of our society. When I went over with a team of former special ops guys, I'm sitting on the ground with these women. What I heard over and over again was, I wish I would have just died in captivity because there's nothing left for me. Buyers of sex are lawyers, political figures, doctors, pastors, police officers.
Pastors?
Yeah.
Of Christian churches?
Yeah.
What the heck? Has anyone named a name that you knew?
Janice Dixon, Naomi Campbell, Christy Turlington, Henry Kissinger, which may be one of the most evil men on the world.
He is, yeah.
Joan Rivers, Courtney Love, Mick Jagger, Courtney Guest, Phil Collins, Simon Le Bon, Charlie Rose of PBS, Richard Branson, Candace Bushel, Tom Ford, Vera Wang, Nadia Byerlin, Co Stark, and here's some more. Seth Green, James Gunn, Dan Schneider, Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, Stephen Colbert, Kevin Spacey, Kathy Griffin, Oprah Winfrey, Sean Carter, Beyonce Knowles, Anthony Kiedis, John Legend, Christy Teigen Tyler, Ben Affleck, Stephen Collins, Will Ferrell, Eminem, Jeffrey Jones, Victor Salva, Mark Rector, Charlie Sheen, Tyler Grasham, Madonna, Catherine Hudson, Gwen Stefani, Stefani Germota, James Franco, Will Smith. Oh, has Will Smith been in the news lately? Justin Rowland, John Cusack, Anderson Cooper, Demi Moore, Brian Affleck, Meryl Streep, Wanda Sykes, Chelsea Handler, Michelle Wolf, Pharrell Williams, Quentin Tarantino, Robert Downey Jr. They are petrified of that list and what those films getting out. They have all the videos of all those people at work.
Really?
Yep. It's going to get ugly. They're in panic.
So are they going to release those videos, or what do they do with them?
I'm told that, well, it's looking like they're holding it back, that one person has control of that, but I'm told other people have them and are going to release them at the right time.
So that's the big question. The level of involvement. You know, a lot of very wealthy and famous people travel in small circles. So you have to look how often these people came to the island. Was it functions? Was it parties at the island, you know, or was it specifically involved in these sex parties and stuff? And also, you know, how much did the people going there know? Now, I know that I'm playing it safe, you know, and I mean, it looks bad, of course. It looks really bad. You have to wonder, though, is everybody, because it's a scissor, you get a picture with Epstein. Does that mean you're involved?
I got a message from a woman who's claiming to be a succubus, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like this story, but part of Spooky Scary Storytime in general is just sharing different views and opinions and trying really, really hard not to judge, but I don't agree with what she's doing, so I'm going to just put that out there. I don't think a lot of you are going to like this story either, and you'll find out why, but she says that she uses a certain type of intimate relationship in order to harvest energy, so I don't know if there's something paranormal going on, but I'm going to tell you what she said and you decide. She said she wants to be called Lilith because that's her favorite goddess, and she's sharing this because she thinks some people in the audience here will understand how dangerous women can really be and can empathize with her, and she's okay with the rest of you thinking that she's a monster. But the title of her email was, I am the spooky scary story, and she says she's a real-life succubus who preys on men who are tired, lonely, or a little bit too confident. She said this has been something that her family has been doing for generations, and they find men and they pretend to be harmless, and they remember things about them like their favorite drinks or little details about their life, and then they remember and they smile and they pretend to be interested. She said some of her favorite targets are married men with little children at home because they're often depraved, as she put it. And the more depraved a man is, the hungrier he is, and the better she feeds. But she said her grandmother taught her how to do it, and her mother did it, and they didn't call it being a succubus, they called it drawing down. She says they taught her how to bathe with patchouli and clove oil, which makes men obsessed, apparently. They taught her not to look at herself in the mirror, but to anchor herself in the mirror, especially during the act. She said different parts of men give off different energy. So his breath, his hands, his, She craves different parts of men depending on what she needs, if you know what I'm saying. She says this is how she feeds. More than food, more than sun, more than water, this is what she needs. And she says she often goes for married men or people with something to hide at home because the guiltier they feel after continues to feed her. She said the first time she realized there was something to it, she was 19, she's 28 now, and she had relations with a married man, and afterward people were moving out of her way, they were complimenting her, and one woman looked at her and burst into tears immediately. It was like she knew, and she felt a physical shift in energy. She says there was a man recently with 3 small kids and a baby at home, and you could practically smell the desperation on him, and after the fact, she left a lipstick stain on his collar because she wants him to feel guilty, and she wants the wife to find out because the more hurt he is, the better she feeds. And she sent him a text at 3 a.m. when he was already home, and he unraveled all by himself, and she felt wonderful. But she claims it's real, and she said she's sharing this because she wants people to know that women like her exist. They often call her a pick-me, but she swears she's not. She said she's lost a lot of friends for this because she will also go for her friends' men. And she said, tell this story however you want. I'm not chasing clout. I don't want you to tag me, but I just want people to know that we're out there and I'm not the only one. So again, you guys, this is different from the type of story that I normally get, but yeah, there's that.
And these are the things that I'd like to highlight. Number 1, there is no education in medical schools that I am aware of. And being an educator at the Cleveland Clinic Lerner College of Medicine and Case Western Reserve University, I am not aware of education around vaccines, their contents, safety records, informed consent, or the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. We do not discuss that in 1986, Congress enacted legislation removing all liability from pharma related to vaccine adverse events. What are we taught about vaccines? We are taught to memorize the vaccine schedule. And actually, I'm going to be sitting for my family medicine boards this year, and I am sure that I will have to memorize that schedule again in order to pass that exam. We don't discuss that almost $4 billion with a B has been paid to vaccine-injured patients since 1992. For medical professionals, we expect fair balance, but vaccines seem to be absolved from that consideration. Number 2, there appears to be a conflict of interest regarding payments to providers for completing vaccine schedules. And corollary to that, which would be number 3, patients are being dismissed from practices because of quote-unquote vaccine safety concerns. If you bring up a question about a vaccine and you decide not to vaccinate your child, you may be at risk of being terminated from that practice. Absolutely deplorable and disgusting. Number 4, and again to the Bailey family, I'm really sorry, but employers are forcing employees to receive the flu vaccine or face corrective action or job loss. And the fact that your dad was 6 months from retiring is, number 5, there's a lack of informed consent. And I was one of those providers who didn't provide safety sheets before vaccinating. I would tell the parents, these are the vaccines today. We're going to give you 3 vaccines in one leg and 2 in the other. And then after vaccinating either the child or the adult patient, here's your information sheet. And again, to be completely transparent with you, I had no idea that there was even a mention of the compensation program or a telephone number to call. Absolutely deplorable on my part, and I apologize to my patients. Number 6, there's a lack of transparency regarding vaccine complications. And worse, you're being shamed as patients for suggesting that you were harmed by a vaccine. If I see a patient in the office and diagnose strep throat and give them penicillin, and either the mom or the patient themselves calls and tells me that they developed a rash, there is zero question. The chart now states they have an allergy to penicillin and will never be given it again. Why don't we believe parents and patients when they tell us they have had an adverse event regarding a vaccine? It doesn't make sense to me as a medical professional. I apologize for the being emotional.
How crazy is that? And he said he found out, and then he goes, "I was shocked to find out that I was listed."
Whoa!
You
Where
know,
did he come
like,
from?
Bill
Do you remember
Gates?
Bill Gates when he's
Where'd he
like,
come
"Well,
from?
he's dead now, so you know, like nothing more to say about that."
Where'd he come from? That's right, that interview, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
he's dead, so.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so you know, in general, you always have to be careful.
Okay, so that I stay safe and I can come back and I stay alive, I want to tell you something. I will give you a hint to what he showed me. It's going to happen, and you have to get rid of these metals in your body. And it could happen tomorrow. It could happen, but they're going to say it's something else. You're going to have to do your own thinking about this. I don't want to get in trouble, but just stick a piece of foil in a microwave and picture that in your body. And now you know the devil's plan. Bottom line is, you got to get this out of your body.
A mysterious life form was discovered after a research vessel docked at the port of Cleveland last summer and went into dry dock to have repairs. They noticed this black tar-like goo on a part of the ship called the rudder post. They tried to burn it with a blowtorch. They put it in water to see if it had a slick or a sheen to it, which it didn't. Ultimately, they took it to the University of Minnesota in Duluth. What they did find within that goo, there were about 20 different genetic sequences or genomes that they were able to extract. And one of those genomes they couldn't find anywhere in the kind of the worldwide database of genomes. So they've given it a name, ShipGoo 001, as a newly discovered life form that they want to learn more about.
This is what happened in Japan. At about 11 p.m. last night, the sirens started going off. The flood sirens, y'all. Look at the sky. This is 11 p.m. and the sky was flashing like crazy. And it's been doing it here as well too, y'all. You hear the sirens? Now, I have been saying that this water has been excessive and there's no way that rain coming down from the sky is the culprit of these floods, right? Now, you can clearly see in these videos that this water is coming up from under the ground, y'all. Look at what's going on under here, y'all. And remember, Japan is due for a huge earthquake or tsunami type stuff that's going to happen pretty soon. You know, this is prophecy. The roof and the train stations were literally collapsing. Now, do you guys notice something? So look at the water that's being found in Japan, y'all. This water is crystal clear. It's crystal clear, y'all. Look at this. So remember, they said the poles have reversed, and now we have warm water coming from under the ground, and it's merging with the salt water, and it's removing the salt water. And look at this, y'all. Look at this. This water is not murky. It's not dirty. I don't know what he's doing. Someone needs to tell him that's not working. But it's not dirty, y'all. Look. You can see it clearer in this video. That almost looks like drinking water. So is this the Antarctic water that's coming up to Japan right now, y'all? So y'all, I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more of this, y'all. The floor beneath us is cracking. The matrix is literally breaking down.
Blame is the core of all negative emotions. When you stop blaming, you cut down the negative emotion tree. You cut it off, you kill it, and all the negative emotions die simultaneously. It's almost exactly as if this negative emotion tree were a Christmas tree and it were plugged into the wall. And the negative emotions were Christmas tree lights. And you took this plug and you jerked it out of the wall, what would happen? Well, what would happen is that all the negative emotions, the lights, would go out simultaneously, just like that. How do you do this? You do this by using the law of substitution. Remember, the law of substitution says that the conscious mind can only hold one thought at a time. It's the thought that the conscious mind holds that determines how the emotions will react, how the subconscious mind will react. Since it can only hold one thought at a time, what you do is you knock out the thought that is causing the negative emotion, the blame thought, and you replace it with this affirmation. I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible. This, in conjunction with I like myself, I am responsible, is the most powerful positive affirmation you can use.
But have you ever stopped to ask why? Let me break this down like you're 5. Meteorologists track storms using radars that sweep around in circles like spinning a laser on a table. That table is flat. If the Earth were curved, wouldn't radar beams have to tilt downward to match that curve? But they don't. Radars spin horizontally, not at an arc, not around a ball. And here's where it gets wild. If you pull up radar maps online, storms disappear past 250 miles. Not because they're gone, because the radar can't see them. The signal goes straight. The Earth doesn't curve. And instead of fixing this contradiction, they just blame line of sight limitations. What does that even mean on a curved planet? Now, everything makes sense if Earth is flat. Radars spin on a flat plane because they don't need to curve. The signal travels straight because the ground beneath it is straight. There's no curve to compensate for. That 250-mile cutoff, it's just the natural limit of how far the beam can go in a straight line. Across a flat surface, no bending, no tilting, no imaginary drop of 8 inches per mile squared, just flat. Ask yourself, if planes use radar and ships use radar and all of them scan horizontally, why has nobody ever created a radar system that scans the supposed curve? Where's the dome radar that wraps around the Earth's ball? You won't find it, because every piece of equipment in real life assumes a flat ground, not a curved one. Why do airport runways, radar scans, railroads, pipelines, and even military missile tracking systems never account for curvature? Because when it's life or death, they drop the globe lie and stick with what works. Flat calculations, straight-line geometry. If Earth really had a curve, real-world technology would be built to deal with it, but it's not, because it's flat. And all their fancy math equations crumble under something as simple as a radar sweep. Now ask yourself, if we've been lied to about something this simple, what else have they hidden in plain sight? What other science is built on imagination instead of observation? You trusted the globe because they told you everyone agrees, but you never looked for yourself.
The SAT was created in the 1920s by Carl Brigham, who was a proud white supremacist and eugenicist, and he believed that if he created the right test, that he would be able to keep out people from these elite schools like Harvard and Princeton. Because according to him, he could create a test that was designed to prove the inherent intelligence of Nordic white test takers. In other words, it gave them an unfair advantage because these test questions were designed to be things that they would know about, people of upper classes who were typically white. And he used this to prove that Black people, immigrants, or Jewish people were, quote, genetically inferior or just inferior in terms of intelligence. And you might be like, oh my God, but that was back then. The SAT is useful today. It is not actually, and it is more tied to your income and your zip code than your actual intelligence. Not to mention the SAT is just inherently ableist and it's not designed for people with different brains and abilities to take tests in different ways. Absolutely a legacy of racist science and proves that quite literally everything in America is about race. And I say this as someone who went to an Ivy League school. They're fucking bullshit.
Parents, please come to the front because I need your attention right now. This predator, he is a high school coach and his name is Aaron Peter Lakoti and he is 37 years old and he was just sentenced for making out with a 16-year-old child. And I'm sure you're wondering, well, what was Aaron's punishment for being a 37-year-old man making out with a 16-year-old child? Well, his punishment was $53. That's the going rate for grooming and making out with your daughter nowadays. $53. Oh, and he had to write an apology letter. So the court said, you know what's in the best interest of this minor? For you to contact her via letter. This is not justice. This is a system saying that our child's safety is not worth more than a tank of gas. We're seeing it all throughout the American culture right now. Grown adults grooming and harming children with no punishment. This man was supposed to be a trusted adult. You gave your most precious gifts to this man, and he groomed at least one of them. And here is the part that no one wants to say out loud, but I am going to. Sexual predators are not always creepy men in vans. They are your bosses. They are your coaches. They are your teachers, your doctors, your plumbers, your electricians, your tree trimmers. They live in any profession possible. And you, parents, need to start opening your eyeballs to the signs and signals that your child could possibly give you to protect them. Possible signs and symptoms that your child is being groomed could be nervousness, anxiousness, withdrawal from family and friends, removing themselves from sports, receiving gifts and money and clothes that you did not buy your child. If your child talks about someone older that just gets them, that's a red flag. Your child gets defensive when you ask to see their phone or messages in regards to a certain older person. That is a red flag. Teachers should not be communicating with children online. Period. End of statement. You need to ask questions, be present, and speak up, because predators like Aaron are looking for parents that are too busy, too polite, or too withdrawn to even notice that they are grooming your child. Anyway, $53 is the going rate for making out with a child nowadays. Have a great night.
Here are 4 racist beliefs that good white people have. Number 1, denial of the racial wealth gap. A lot of white Americans believe that the gap between the incomes of the average white and black person is the average white person works harder while the average black person doesn't. That erases centuries of discrimination, slavery, redlining, and other practices that were meant to keep black people out of positions of power and wealth. Number 2, black people are just naturally athletic. While it may sound like a compliment, there's a few reasons this is the case, especially in the US. For one, white people used to selectively breed black people to get desired traits. This stereotype dehumanizes black bodies and also downplays the role that factors like access and talent have. Number 3, we all start from the same place. Many white people believe that in 2025 everyone has an equal shot in life, but this is simply not true. Many neighborhoods are still segregated and generational wealth still dictates opportunity. And number 5, I treat everyone the same. These types of white people treat everyone the same so long as they act white, aka they don't conform to stereotypes about the racial identity that they belong to. So if you're a white person who says any of these things, stop and take the time to fucking educate yourself.
Around 9 o'clock, we heard a big boom noise. Boom! And it was loud, loud, loud.
Yes, I heard the explosion. We heard it first, the echo from here. Then it was here. I said, oh my God, it's the end of the world.
We heard some explosions, 2, 3. We thought about, I thought maybe it was an electrical transformer or something popping in the distance.
First I heard one boom, I thought it was a big transformer. Confederate said, it's a transformer. But I said, we've been sitting in the door now for about 2 hours, 3 hours. But it went again. Boom, boom.
I think the lever cracked, and they helped it the rest of the week. They had a bomb. They bombed that sucker.
I didn't only hear the explosion, I felt the explosion. And it should be somebody else heard and felt the explosion besides me.